gentlemen, and non-binary pals, welcome to Trivial Debates. It is April 1st, 2023, and it's episode 73. I'm your host, Chris Worldmind Murphy, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today for this epic wrestling-themed episode of Trivial Debates. It's Wrestlemania weekend, and we thought what better way to celebrate than with a mental triple threat match. Will one of these cerebral warriors make the boyhood dream come true today? We'll find out. In this corner, we have the host of Graphic Histories, co-host of X-Rated, the X-Men Animated Review Show, and recent title winner of the one half of the NBW World Tag Team Championships, the tradition's own old school André Myette.
Old school André Myette here with a special message to the fans of the Trivial Debate. Thank you very much for being here today. I am a 16-year veteran of independent wrestling, and I have to say I've had a lot of struggles and a lot of challenges over the years, but this may be my biggest yet. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If we're gonna, I didn't know I could do a Macho Man impersonation. I totally would have done that instead. Cream of the crop. Ooh.
With his deep knowledge of wrestling history, can old Andres school his opponents and come out on top today? Ooh. In the next corner, we have co-host of Super Mater Brothers and soon-to-be-renewed True Currency podcast, master of the Funko Pop domain, Jaemeel the Podfather Robinson.
Folks, we're here today to find out who is the top of the wrestling game, of the wrestling debate here on Trivial Debates. I'm here with my other competitors, great André Myette and Jason, who I'm still learning his podcast name off the top of my head, but still all worthy components. Worthy opponents. And I will come up on top.
We're components in a way.
I will come up on top and prove once again that I am a champion, will remain champion, and will champion through these debates. Don't you dare miss it.
Is the big rad machine ready to power through this competition with his sharp tongue and intellectual prowess, leaving them all smelling what the Podfather is cooking? We're going to find out.
Wow.
But finally, not last and not least, in this corner, we have 1/3 of the stable hailing from the Hey Did You See This One movie podcast, the movie maven, Jason Phillips.
You know, I've been preparing all week for this. And my guys, you got to know, brother, that I'm going to come out on top. And I'm going to make sure that each and every one of you bows down at my feet, brother, and pays the ultimate price. Because when you get with the flock, you're going to make sure you know who comes out on top. And I've been looking at you guys, and I've been waiting all week, yeah. But we're going to find out who the real fan of wrestling is today. My name's Jason Phillips. I'm an announcer for Super King Wrestling, and I do a podcast about movies. I know nothing about any of it. I'm just here to have fun.
Someone's been watching Jake the Snake interviews.
Yeah.
Well, with his pop culture expertise and diamond-cutting humor, can this warrior deliver the ultimate smackdown and claim a Raw victory? Before the matches begin, let's make sure everyone is on the same page. This is a fair fight with no foreign objects. Okay? We're keeping it clean, focused on mental agility. We want to ensure a level playing field where the only thing that matters is who has the sharpest wit and deepest argument for today's debate. Now with that, I wanted to say, any final words before we ring this bell?
Well,
It's like the most important man in the world standing here, and you got a conversation going with each other.
I like it.
Fantastic.
I think we need to do like the Scott Steiner math to come up with one of those promos. It'll just be like, you got a 300% chance, but only 200% because I'm 50% more man than that 10% of a man over there. And that gives you 66.66% chance.
Well, with that, and then producer Dave Mater in the gorilla position, making sure everything runs smoothly. Let's get ready for this Debatomania triple threat match. Welcome to Trivial Debates.
Let's get ready to rumble.
You're definitely getting sued for using that.
Oh, we've been using it for
Bring
a
it
while.
on.
Bruce Buffers or Bruce Buffer, is that his name?
I think it's Bruce.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
incredibly
Bruce Buffers.
litigious about the use of that phrase. So
Yeah,
I'd be careful.
You'll have to find it.
All right.
You'll find us first. So we're getting to question number 1 for movies. Aside from The Rock and Hulk Hogan, which wrestler had the best character from a movie? Let's go with Andre for the first pick.
Well, my pick actually is John Cena as the Peacemaker in The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one. That movie is fantastic. It may hang up there with one of my all-time favorite superhero movies of all time. It had heart, it had soul, and it spun off into the Peacemaker television show, which is also fantastic, that I highly suggest. John Cena has shown that as far as being a physical force, emotionally, he can really bring a performance. And that show especially, which spins off from the movie, like in the movie, he just kind of plays the guy that needs to do what America needs him to do without any questions asked. And the show expunges upon that and shows why he's that way, and the family life that led to him becoming that kind of a guy, which actually is amazingly heartfelt, incredibly sad, and can show why a person like that, like someone in the States that's like all for country and nothing else, can be kind of brainwashed into being that way. So fantastic performance. And I would say it's one of the best. I would like to mention Roddy Piper in They Live, because that's fantastic too. But John Cena, Peacemaker.
All right, we actually have a quick little clip of Peacemaker here, so we'll just play that real quick.
This is great.
Nothing like a bloodbath to start the day.
They call you peacemakers.
He is so hilarious.
How many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it?
Yeah, that line alone sums up how great it is. Like, he's so dedicated to the cause of peace that murdering children to get there is something that he's quite all right with doing. And the idea of that those two sides being in one person is hilarious. And that with the show, it kind of fills that in. It's great.
Fabulous choice from Andre. So with that, we're going to head off to Jaemeel with his choice for this round.
My choice is from Friday from 1996.
This is a tenuous choice, but I'll accept it.
Tiny Lister? What?
This is a very tenuous choice. Tiny Lister was in like 3 wrestling matches.
Tiny Lister Jr., who played the character Debo from Friday and also Friday After Next, and appeared in Friday the animated series.
Really?
It is a character that
Friday animated series?
yes, there was.
That's cool. I didn't
Yes,
know
there
that.
was.
That's amazing.
He transcends the his small role and became a cultural phenomenon, one that the word Debo is associated with the term bully, right? So much so that in many sports figures, the nickname Debo has stuck with them. So I'm going to, as we see with our debate, prove without a shadow of a doubt that Debo will get his.
Debo. Wow, very choice.
Well, an excellent choice from Debo.
Do we have a clip of Debo?
We do
Oh,
have
yes,
a
we
clip
do.
of Debo.
Oh, excellent.
Sorry, what did I do?
Damn!
It's Zeus.
Perfect.
Craig.
He's been in like 3 wrestling matches. Anyway, you know what I have to say to that, Jaemeel?
Debo.
Bye,
We
Felicia.
shall see. That leaves our third contestant, Jason Phillips. Who did you choose for this round?
I chose, it's funny that Andre mentioned him, but
Oh,
I chose
nice.
Roddy Piper
Good choice.
for Nada in They Live. But
Is it Frogtown?
there's that as well. That
Okay.
movie definitely exists. But I wanted to talk about The Maniac from It's Always Sunny. So I kind of backdoored with that. Now, the thing about Roddy Piper that's great is he sort of like Hogan was doing, big movies, big blockbusters and stuff. But the thing about Piper is he opened up the door for like wrestlers to go and do like indie movies and smaller roles. So you can look at him there. He created the idea for Duke Nukem with that photo right there. All of his catchphrases were sort of repurposed for Duke Nukem as well. So he sort of transcends film with this one character. But then the Maniac is such a meta role about how old, washed up wrestlers are just nightmare humans. And we all know it. We all in the wrestling biz, we've met them.
Oh
right?
yeah.
I met Virgil. I talked to Virgil. I talked to him with words.
I was on tour with him one time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting dude.
I'm not talking a
pictures with him?
handshake.
No, I didn't want to pay the fee.
Yeah.
Cut you that fuck money. Excuse my language.
We're already
Well,
minutes in, so I think we could start swearing.
Oh yeah, we're good.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
So iconic, right?
Yeah.
Come
it was
on.
great. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff about how why John Carpenter picked him and how, because Carpenter went to a wrestling match and was a fan of his performance, which is kind of what led to this. But there's a lot of cool stuff on the internet about how he got to that role and how he kind of all through wrestling, basically. So
Well, I gotta say, gentlemen, these are excellent opening statements and remarks. I am interested to hear your debate. So let's ring that bell and get the clock going.
we just yell all for three of us? Great.
That's great podcast format right there. Just yelling.
I like it. Just screaming.
Well, there's usually a gentleman's agreement that people kind of let people
That's
have
fair.
their point.
You go ahead, Jaemeel, since you brought up the gentleman's agreement.
All right. So going on, great choices for everyone. Now, when it comes to Peacemaker, I feel a lot of the heavy lifting was done in the television show. So his performance in the movie itself and the character in the movie wasn't really what people love, right? When they think about the Peacemaker character. So I would argue from a movie, sure, the character debuted in the movie, but the television show is what people really think about the character.
Well,
Also,
I'm gonna
spoilers. He's a heel in the movie and a face on the TV show.
yes,
So
but
I agree with Jaemeel there. But also, I forgot about that movie choice. And I know this goes against the point of a debate, but I almost want to change mine to Peacemaker because that's such an excellent example. Talk about gentlemen's debates, eh?
that's right. Well, what I want to say is, to me, and I'm a big movie guy, huge movie guy. So to me, if a movie makes you feel anything, it's not a wasted experience. I mean, besides boredom, but the idea that scene where he flips when we realized that he made a secret deal with Waller and that he was there to get it no matter what, and he kills Rick Flag is
Spoilers.
scary. He is scary. Like when you see his face and when he points the gun right at Ratcatcher and she knows he's going to kill him even though she did nothing wrong is very good. It's like the emotion in that scene and the look in his face, the way he acted that was amazing. And I said he is actually, in my mind, terrifying and shows why that sort of jackbooted thug type person would be scary in that situation. And I think as an actor, he did fantastic. And overall as a movie, it's in my opinion, I mean, I love They Live, so it's hard to argue about that. And Friday's a great movie too. But I think in this list, it's the best of the three, although They Live is very close.
I didn't have that emotional response.
Oh man, I thought he was terrifying.
With you. I actually enjoyed the Suicide Squad a lot, but I didn't feel that same connection with that character until the television show.
Well, the humor too. I mean, the comedy between him and Idris Elba is hilarious. Like when they're both just trying to measure dicks against each other by shooting all the people in the village, which turns out to be the people that they're supposed to be helping. Yeah. It's fantastic. Like, they're shooting over shoulders, upside down. They're just showing off how good they are. And I don't know. I thought it was, and even even the little connections they have with their father issues between.
But if you look at Roddy Piper's sheer credits on IMDb. He stands even if you subtract all of his like WrestleMania appearances, which show up on that list, he stands up with any other real actor. Quote
he's a great actor. I'm not taking that away from him.
He's a great actor. He's been in things. He was in movies his whole career on TV shows, and this character is so iconic to me.
The Maniac.
Yeah. The Maniac too. The Maniac is one of my favorite side characters on a sitcom of all time.
It's pretty great when he's selling the juice is one of my favorite parts.
Exactly, and but the fact, like I said in my little intro bit, the fact that they basically invented a video game character around this They Live persona really shows the versatility of the character.
So, speaking of which is a great point that you see that the character has lived on in popular culture, as has Debo today. Right? Debo has continued on. That character is iconic.
That's
Used
true.
in pop culture. You have
I actually
many,
didn't
like,
know that Debo was a term for a bully. I wasn't aware
yeah.
of that. So
DeMar DeRozan's nickname is Debo because of growing up in, South Central LA. There are multiple NFL players who are referred to as Debo because of that bullying character that he is. So he's continued on, as I mentioned, multiple appearances in other media, the animated show and such. Unfortunately, wasn't able to be in the newest sequel for Friday that's coming out due to
just
passing away.
another
COVID.
one? My God.
Yeah.
Well, you got to reboot everything eventually. Everything
Well,
will have a revival.
It's supposed to be last Friday. It was supposed to be the
What do
last.
we have for
my
calendar?
my tenuous grasp on my only complaint would be it's a very tenuous grasp on the term wrestler for him. He did like the WrestleMania match where he teamed up there, and that was about it. Because it was
He was
mostly
also
all, but it was mostly all just for promotional material for the movie, the No Holds Barred movie with Hulk Hogan, which it has its own set of issues.
He had multiple pay-per-view matches, including teaming up with Macho Man. So it
But
wasn't.
it was
just
all
match.
promotional for the movie. It wasn't so much about him he didn't get into wrestling to be a wrestler. He was an actor who got into wrestling to promote a movie he was in.
Everything is promotion when it comes to wrestling.
Well, that's fair. Good point.
Ooh, those were some good heats. Some solid arguments.
I really believe that you thought our arguments were solid.
This debate is so gentlemanly and subdued compared to the last one I did, where everyone just yelled at each other. This is nice. This is my speed. I can get behind this.
Personalities here. You're all willing to be nice.
It's not Davin screaming at me or screaming at someone else that they don't understand.
Really interrupting. It's kind of lovely.
I'm keeping calm. Because I'm with a different set of people, and I don't want to like. Right?
Well, this is a safe space, Jaemeel. I think we're all right here.
It's a safe space. Yeah, we can get energetic.
I can become very overbearing, and Dave has seen it before.
Well, we appreciate passion here, I think.
I stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning watching Spring Break and ROH last night, so
nice.
I'm very tired. This is early for me on a Saturday.
This is debate or a hug fest.
I think it's a hug fest. I would virtually hug all 3 of these men right now. All 4 of these men in this chat room. I would hug all of you if given the opportunity.
Let's see as this goes on.
Save that till the end. We'll see if you want to hug me at the end.
All right. I liked Jameel's points about how everybody loved Peacemaker more in the TV show than the movie. And that's
but you can't have the show without the movie. You can't do it. You need it.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing is I didn't hear a lot of facts against Peacemaker. There was some jabs at Debo. There was some jabs at Nada. Even if there really wasn't, I guess it was all quite friendly.
There was a hard one. I think the gloves were definitely on for that first one.
And so was the headgear.
Yeah. The one with the Kurt Angle
wig.
I think
I'm gonna have to give this to Andre because he brought a few more points. He pointed out that Debo was an actor bringing into the promo. It wasn't a wasted experience. He was scared of Cena. I mean, I just heard a bit more from Andre during that discussion. So we'll get that right to Andre.
Okay.
All right, it's good round. It's good round. Producer Dave, you get that bell on the ready. I'm sure.
I have it ready. Okay, you ready? You ready to go next round?
Yeah, let's do next round.
This one's gonna be fun.
All right, so question number 2 in TV. Whether cartoon or live action, what is the best show about wrestling?
This is going to be good. Because there's not a lot of good ones. There's not a lot of good ones.
There's like 3 of them total.
Yep. And I think we probably picked all 3.
Actually, I
Good
disagree.
rock and wrestling.
I disagree. I already have an idea exactly what people picked, and I can probably guess who picked what.
Okay, let's see if you're right. Tell us if we're right.
Okay, but I can, without a shadow of a doubt, I know no one knew what I picked. Okay,
I don't know what you guys picked. So
yeah, I'm starting this round. So I'm pretty sure that rock and wrestling and heels are going to be the 2 ones that are going to be mentioned, right? But mine is an anime show called Airmaster.
Oh,
my
I
god!
thought you were gonna go with Ultimate Muscle, which is a great show too.
I thought somebody would.
I didn't do that. Airmaster was a manga that went from 96 to about 2006. It was an anime show from 2003 and had 26 episodes about an ex-gymnast named Maki Awazawa, who becomes a street fighter, and she's drawn into this massive tournament and characters along the way, including one, Sakiyama Kori, who is possibly one of the best characters in anime of all time. She is great. And in a set of episodes, they are drawn into a wrestling tournament as well, where Maki and Sakiyama Kori, you have to say her full name, is paired up where they have to fight wrestlers and try to see if they can succeed. And Maki has vested interest in the situation.
It's a clock, sir. All right, well, we got a little clip from Airmaster, so let's experience this.
Let's experience this.
Sakiyama Kaori. この顔覚えてるだろう。的場花見だよ。同級生だろ。
sorry.
てめえが生徒会長に当選した日、私の怒りは頂点だった。あの日は当選祝いに思いっきりやってやったからな。
She didn't get raped.
The fact you had to yell that means that.
Yeah, you know, because of the implication.
Yeah, the implication.
てめえの右耳はあの時から聞こえないんだろ。さっきな耳元で言ってやったのまたこう。
It's even funnier when she says your ear hasn't worked since that day, and you're like, it wasn't rape, I swear.
That clip originally was 3 minutes, and I cut it down to a minute, not knowing that it was supposed to be 30 seconds. So
This is the best show about wrestling, Jaemeel? Like this? Like
super obscure anime?
You've never seen Airmaster, so don't
not
come
till
at
this,
me.
Not till the second. No, I'm just like, really? Like
I might have to look it up though. It looks interesting. Although I might just rewatch Ultimate Muscle instead.
This is an experiment out of the box thinking from Jaemeel, I think.
That's wonderful out of the box thinking from Jaemeel.
So for those who don't know me, I usually throw in like
Dark Horses
that I really love and I'm passionate about in a lot of these debates. So this is my passion
That's
pick.
cool. Yeah.
Who's
That's
next?
awesome.
All right. Well, speaking of passion debates, let's head over to Jason. What have you got for this round, sir?
I chose, so there is out of the box thinking, but I went directly down the barrel of the gun to the one wrestling show that's actually nailed it perfectly, and that's Heels. Heels is sort of they took the idea of like the WWE and like a smaller company like WCW or NWA, and they sort of did it from the perspective of the smaller company. And then you have the lead actor Stephen Amell, who plays Green Arrow on the C-Dub, who is passionate about wrestling, running the show behind the scenes and also being the main character. And you kind of find out through the series that the heels are actually the good guys and the good guys are actually the bad guys. It also has Alexander Ludwig, who's from Vikings, playing a real shit-heeled dildo, like trying to like get his comeuppance early in his career. He wants to be the big star. And Stephen Amell's character, Jack Spade, who plays a heel on TV, is actually a really good family man. It does have issues with feeling like a CW show itself, but it's on Starz, so they can get away with a lot of stuff like swearing and more adult themes, which I really appreciate on a show like this. And to its detriment, it does have one episode I hate, but the rest of the episodes are great. It has an episode that's just like people going around and talking to each other with no wrestling. That's why I hate Glow. You know, Glow sucks because it just
hang on. Hold on these thoughts, sir. Your time is.
Hold on. Don't get ahead of it, sir.
Sorry, I'm very passionate.
All right, we got shit-heeled dildos with Jason.
Ooh.
That's his choice for this round. That leaves André Myette with the last choice. What was your choice?
Oh, do we have a clip, though?
I wonder. Oh, wait, we
have a
do
clip of
actually
Heels?
have a clip. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself.
Just like hold up.
We need a
Collusion.
Hold up.
It is like hold up. This is my type of
Damn, mother! Oh, man, I'm sorry. I don't know. What was that you saw in the pain? That's really good, man.
No, asshole, that shit really hurt.
Yeah, what did I do wrong?
Pretty much everything, dude.
You let your weight come down on your elbow. You gotta bring it down on your leg and let your arm hang loose when it hits him. Well, she's right. That's Wrestling 101. Now, what type of deep fake video clip did you drop on Jack to get you joined up in this joint?
All right. I know exactly why this isn't great, and I'll explain that as we go. As someone who does this, actually.
I went to wrestling school.
As someone who doesn't do it, I can also tell you why it isn't great.
Yeah.
So that leaves on.
We'll wait that for the debate. All right. So my choice was Glow, actually, which was funny because as someone who is a professional wrestler and has spent a lot of time on the road, over 16 years, in fact, and the history of Glow itself is pretty interesting because they were a lot of women that just sort of fell into the wrestling world. The idea of what happens behind the scenes to me is much more interesting than what happens in the ring. I mean, I love wrestling. I love the act of wrestling, the performance of wrestling. And that is very, like the showmanship of wrestling is great. But as someone who spent a lot of time in locker rooms, a lot of time in the back end of it, even someone who runs their own show, so is aware of the work that goes into that. I can say the drama and the arguments and the stupid fights and the ridiculous ego battles between people that don't want to lose because it's play fighting and they want to look strong is ridiculous. So a show that actually goes into the drama of the real lives of the people behind it and really spends time with that, to me, I find more interesting. Maybe it's because I had so much time wrestling and I've seen it all on the front end that like I'm more interested in the drama behind it. But to me, I think Glow does a really good job of showing the interpersonal issues.
Okay.
Yeah, the stress of Glow. We got one clip for that, which is probably my favorite clip.
Also, I love Mark Maron, so. And the soundtrack in the show is great too.
No mention of Allison Brie.
Oh, I love her too. She's fantastic in it. She's actually the best wrestler in the show. But Betty Gilpin's excellent too.
Yeah.
I mean, Glow itself, like the story of Glow, there's documentaries about that the actual promotion is very interesting, and to mine that it was a smart idea, I think, on behalf of Netflix. I hope they finally get to finish it in some way someday. But the COVID really screwed them over.
Not likely.
COVID really screwed them over. I know. I really wish it wouldn't. It would have been because like the nature of that show makes it tough for them to have made all the COVID standards, so they kind of capped it instead of waiting. So sad. But.
I think that Netflix took an easy way out of it, and unfortunately did not have the same respect of the show that they had for other productions. And the excuse that they provided to the stars for that show is they said that they could not wait 3 years to make the show, but they did that for Umbrella Academy and also for Stranger Things. So
yeah, no, I agree with you there.
Talking out the mouth. Okay, heels.
Hit me with a little bit of the education about why that. I know that people don't really talk like that.
It's a CW show, but it's on Stars. You are absolutely correct. It is a CW show that's on Stars. Don't let the grit of it being able to swear and show some more stuff mean that it's a better than its station. You are absolutely correct. It is a CW show. Armel, I love that he's passionate about wrestling, but dude has the charisma of a rock. Not The Rock.
I found that he had the charisma of a rock in actual wrestling, but I think that he's good on this show.
See, I don't think that clip alone shows how unrealistic that show is, because if you are learning how to wrestle, no way are they letting you do top rope elbow drops where you have no idea what's going on before you even learn how to shift your weight or fall correctly. But he's like doing an elbow drop and they're like, oh, what did I do wrong? I didn't know. And it's like, before you even got close to being able to do that, you should have learned all the other things leading up to it.
You're being stationary, like you're on the mat. You are not going on those ropes. You're not going to be given anything that could put yourself or the person that you're in the ring with in any type of danger. Like heels
seems to me like what people that don't know anything about wrestling think behind the scenes of wrestling is. Yeah. So those are the ones making the show. Now, people that actually know what happens behind the scenes of wrestling.
That's I honestly thought that's what Glow was. That's how I felt about Glow.
But I think Glow. I excuse Glow for that because none of them, except with the exception of Machu Picchu's character, who grew up in a wrestling family, were all actors that were introduced to wrestling and learned how to wrestle as they went. So they didn't come from wrestling; they were being taught it. in order to be on the show.
That is a really good point that I hadn't considered. I'm sorry that I came out of the gate real.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. No,
I really liked how heels showed the smaller company trying to fight against
that is cool.
against New York. And I also love that with all of at the time there was the big news of CM Punk coming back, and I know you guys probably have your own thoughts and feelings about CM Punk, but he's one of my favorites of all time.
Just wait till later.
I know we're gonna get to it.
I like his work. I feel like his personality gets in the way of his career.
He's a dickhead, but the thing is like I got my first taste of him coming back from the show because he plays that hilarious like redneck character who has
the rat catcher or rat man or
rat man or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was so hyped for CM Punk's return at that time that maybe I was a little blinded by that, and this show gave me that little taste I needed. But it is a show where I'm watching it going like I've seen people interact in locker rooms like that, especially in the big locker rooms.
Yep.
And I want to bring up Shoresy, the spinoff of Letterkenny, in a similar light for hockey locker rooms are like that, and those two shows showed in a comedic light, in a sarcastic light. But it also there's some truth and realism to the way that these frigging wrestlers are.
I feel like
you guys have been there. Wrestlers
I feel
Glow
does a better job in terms of showing the comedy and sarcastic side of that, and not really heels. Everything is overtly dramatized, and everything is overtly elevated, like a CW show. Like every single moment is the most important and most dramatic moment of their lives. Now, I'll very quickly talk about Airmaster.
Oh yeah. I was gonna talk about something that nobody's
anime.
I'll be brief on it. Right? Airmaster does not get into the behind the scenes actions about wrestling. It presents wrestling as a specific fighting style on this show. And so you have these characters where they have emotional ties to it. Some people are there for the competition. Some people have prior history with some of the characters, and they clash, right? There's a lot of wrestling moves that are animated and presented there. That's cool. Both of your shows show wrestling performances as well. But I don't feel that any of the shows has a character as emotionally compelling as Sakiyama Kori, and the fact that she's not pictured in this thing.
I was gonna say, like, I'm curious about the anatomy of the person doing that kick. Her body is like 180 away from where her legs are.
Yeah, she's on backwards, bro.
Yeah, like it's like someone screwed her top half on the wrong way.
She is a gymnast spinning in the air. So the whole motivation for the main character is she was a young gymnast who had a lot of success, and her mother died, and the only elements of like she kind of shuts off emotionally, and the only time she experiences the high of life is when she's competing. She can no longer compete in gymnastics, and that's why she gets into fighting and professional wrestling.
If I saw that image, though, I would think that it was a show about soccer.
So she can't do gymnast work because of an injury? Is that what the issue is? Or what's the issue?
She can't compete.
Because she was hurt? How does that work?
No, because she's like, there's not really a place for older gymnasts like herself.
Well, okay. How much of a place is there for older wrestlers, do you think?
A lot.
As someone who's been around, believe me, there's not, I've seen them on the downswing of their careers.
So my problem with Glow, because I don't really think anyone talked really negative about Glow. Again, Andre, you're getting a free pass, it seems.
I'm great at that. It's my thing.
Despite the two main characters, I feel like the rest of the show does not. I know.
Okay.
Well, minute each. Okay.
Okay. I feel like the rest of the show does not have the emotional strength of the main two characters. And when I say the main two characters, I mean Alison Brie's character, Zora the Destroyers are wrestling there, and Mark Maron's character, right? I feel like
you don't count Betty Gilpin's character as a main character.
I don't feel like she's the emotional main character. It is Mark Maron and
Alison Brie, in my opinion,
I would argue with that.
An antagonist more than anything. It
is
until
the second season when Betty Gilpin becomes, it's sort of it shifts to her point of view.
A bit, but you see her life falling apart when her husband cheats on her, and her, it's kind of about her.
Is it bad that I don't feel super bad about that?
Because she kind of sucks as a person, even still. Like,
no, I know, but like as at any point, that's what I mean about shows like this, because they kind of delve into characters. that are real characters. Like you must know someone that sabotaged their own life and is kind of a shitty character and blames everybody else for it. I know. Yeah, hey, you know, like
Andre's turn now. Andre, you go.
no, that's fine. But we all know a person like that, so it's kind of interesting to see because they come in and out of our lives, and we make judgments based on that. But to see the blowback of their personal lives and how that affects them is kind of interesting to me. Like I've met people that I would say are that character, but I don't know what happens when they go home and sit alone and cry and drink because their life sucks because of the shitty decisions. So to see that happen on a show, and I mean that's real emotional drama, and wrestling's just sort of the skin that's around it. But to me, I really think that's interesting, and especially when it's in the world of like actors and people with high, seemingly high opinions of themselves on top of all that other stuff. So to me, I just feel like the emotional drama of all that's really good. I also think that the Bam character is very interesting. I know he's not considered the main character, but he's obviously a closet homosexual in the 80s who loves wrestling, and can't be his real self. So, or at least bisexual. It's kind of vague towards the end of the season, but series. But to me, that stuff about what's going on in society at the time, and especially around the candy coated wrestling thing.
Jason Stern.
Basically everything that Andre said, same for heels, but I think it edges out a little bit just because, like I was saying, I like Glow. It's a great show, but towards the midway of like the second season, it's less about the wrestling. Wrestling is just the backdrop, and it's more about the interpersonal. And a show about wrestling has to have a lot of wrestling. And every episode of Heels pretty much ends with they're all fighting and stressed out, and then there's like the big match. But then things happen in the matches that push the story along. Like
except the one episode that you mentioned earlier on.
I hate that episode, and I'll bring the sword, and I don't care if this is a debate me trying to defend it. I hate that episode, but the other 9, I think is it 10 or 11? Anyway, the other 9
second season, isn't there?
No, it's second season.
Not yet.
On the pipe.
Oh, okay.
It should be around soon, but
okay.
I thought it was refreshing after watching Glow to watch Heels and actually see a show that has them lock up and then talk during the wrestling match. I thought that was really neat.
I like all my episodes of Airmaster.
we can't even call about it. We're like, well, what about this episode, Jaemeel?
Yeah. I've never even heard of the show until today, so I'll take your word on it.
So these were really good back and forth points.
You know what you got to do.
It was honestly back and forth between Jaemeel.
What, for Airmaster?
Jason, yes.
Okay.
Because I wanted to Jaemeel was explaining more about the character arcs and the strength of those in the show. Specifically, the question is, what's the best show about wrestling? Andre had it going for Glow because of the interpersonal relationships and stuff like that. But then Jason knocked you out with the simple argument that in the last half of it, they do a lot less wrestling, and there's more wrestling in his show. So I'm going to give the point to Jason.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
no!
Hell yeah. My finishing move is the 1, 2, 3 pin.
The roll up.
Yeah.
The roll up.
It's the small package.
I like it.
I'm surprised I got even that close in that argument with Airmaster. Like, I love both the shows, so this.
I feel like Jameel's like, I need to pick the most esoteric thing I can possibly find that's about wrestling, and that's what we're gonna do.
But he almost went by dismantling us, so.
I was really hoping somebody would have picked Ultimate Muscle.
I know. Actually, I'm searching on where I can find it to watch again because it's been a long time right now.
I'll see if I can hook you up. I can pretty much.
There's another like full-on wrestling anime, right? There's like another one that's like.
Oh yeah. So the reason why I didn't pick that one is because it's called "Are You the Strongest in the World?" and my clip would ultimately feature someone like groaning as you see a close up on their crotch when they're doing a Boston Crab. It would be hard to work around that. So no, those were my two choices because "Are You the Strongest in the World?" is a pure wrestling show, right? But it's too ecchi, I think, to argue effectively.
Well, yeah, it sounds like a lot of anime. It's like thinly veiled for something else.
Yes,
we'll talk offline about it.
All right, thinly veiled and argued effectively. Jason won that round, so we're move on to the third round here. The music category. Which entrance music is getting the loudest pop? Now, there's a caveat in this question. I said no Stone Cold Steve Austin because that's too obvious. You hear that breaking glass, you're gonna pop. Don't matter who
That's
you are
true.
on Earth. So I had to take him out of the equation, and I wanted to see, out of all the possibilities, what everyone brought forth. And well, these are the possibilities. So Jason, you get to start this round.
Before we
off.
do
Who
that,
did you pick?
can we all agree on what version of Stone Cold's theme song was the best one?
If you say Disturbed, I'm leaving now.
I'm saying Disturbed.
Oh,
Goodbye.
So on to the speed round.
All right.
Jason's got the floor first here.
Go ahead, Jay.
Jason has the floor first. Yes.
I chose, because Orange Cassidy is so big right now, you hear those first bars of Jane by Jefferson Starship, and I personally am going to lose my mind, and it's unconventional, not unlike the anime that was chosen in the previous round. I went more for the fact that Orange Cassidy is one of the hottest acts in the game right now.
Oh, is that your choice? I was mistaken. I thought you went with
oh shoot,
something different.
No, it's all right. Oh, you're gonna play it? Is that way?
You picked the first choice, and you're like, if not this, then these other ones. So I went with your first choice.
What was it?
I
can't remember.
This debate's gonna be great.
So good. He's so passionate. He can't remember what it is.
Okay, you know what? You know what? Fine. I know I've got like 10 seconds left in this, but think about it. You hear that, and then and then Living Color plays, and then CM Punk comes out. There's your biggest pop. That's the biggest pop in the game. Imagine that happened on Dynamite this week. Everybody would lose their mind. They would forget everything that he did in the big dust up behind the brawl out. CM Punk is the best in the world, and bow to his feet, peons.
Let's have a listen.
You look so scared at the end of that. Great song, just in general.
Yeah, I've been a fan of this song since I was a little kid.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song. Entrance theme.
That's only
it is a great song.
Clips.
It's a great song.
All right, we got cult of personality with the personality from Jason.
Who forgot and almost said Jane by Jefferson Starship.
I've been thinking about Jane for days too.
He's like, Orange Cassidy, and I'm like, wait, that wasn't in my notes.
That's not right either.
Pivot.
Pivot.
That means we're heading back to Andre.
Oh,
okay.
Well, my choice was Stone Cold, but then he told me I couldn't pick it. So I went with Degeneration X. I think that song is incredibly catchy. I mean, we all grew up. That's right. We all grew up in that time period where every kid that you was crotch chopping and yelling "suck it" to everybody in the street. And it was a magical time that can never be remade to this day. So the DX theme song is incredibly recognizable, incredibly catchy, incredibly sort of, when you hear it, I don't know. I watched a documentary about DX recently. It was some TV show, and it was fantastic. And just really resonated with me about how iconic that particular theme song is. I mean, that group really changed wrestling, especially during the Monday Night Wars. And that show is reminiscent of that group and some of the sort of disruptive behavior they had within the industry. And I think that Degeneration X as a concept was what wrestling needed when it came. And I think it really shifted the industry into a more adult sort of way of going. And at the time, that's what it needed to survive. So DX is incredibly recognizable, incredibly iconic, and something that I definitely think would be the top of this, the options for this category.
What to do? You think you could tell us what to wear? You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready.
Oh man, it slaps so hard. It slaps so hard when it cuts in, man. When they brought them back, when Triple H and Shawn Michaels unretired and they brought them back, it was like everyone was so happy. It was such a happy time in wrestling.
This guy.
It was good. Not this guy. Not this guy. Go back in your box, old timers. I want to see Orange Cassidy put his hands in his pockets and do a drop kick.
Generation X theme song. It's the third on the list.
Really?
Happy
Number one is the Kings, actually.
All right. No, that's a good one too, actually. That album was fantastic.
Head over to Jaemeel.
So this is hilarious because my choice is put it on the screen.
Orange Cassidy?
No.
Okay, that'd be amazing.
CM Punk.
Oh man, he
didn't want that theme song. He hated it.
This was supposed to be for Randy Orton.
Well, it was actually used for Judgment Day 2006, and then used by Randy Orton 2 times, and then CM Punk debuted against Just Incredible with that theme song and continue to do so, leading up to possibly what I think his biggest and most captivating match, which was Money in the Bank 2013 against John Cena. When that music hits, like, everyone just stops and they just rev up. It is such a great song in terms of that character, as well as the pause that works perfectly for his, it's clobbering time statement. It is such a great song.
I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps from. I know that I'm just supposed to be debating, but
it's a good song. I don't think it's iconic, and most people would remember it. It's a good song.
So I'll get into the debate more. I don't want to.
That's fair. I should have waited for that too. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Gentleman argument here. Davin's losing his mind.
he's slowly just twisting.
He's like, "Why is anyone yelling? Why didn't anyone call the other guy a name yet?"
Should be interruptions. Okay. All right. Well, these are solid musical choices. So again, gentlemen, tell me what song is going to get the biggest pop and why.
So the problem with Cult of Personality, as good of a song it is, and I enjoyed the song, the problem is it is associated with a CM Punk that people don't like.
I would say it's associated with the CM Punk that people think.
Well, it only popped up after the pipe bomb thing, right? Is when he made the deal, or not before that. When he left for the belt and came back, is when they let him.
Came back.
He worked it into his deal that he could use it because it was something that
exactly.
with the Indies.
And I think that stands on its own as a reason why it's the best. It's still the best pop to this day. DX is like pretty good, but DX is now remembered as the retirement tour sort of era. Well, this is a banger track, but like I think that
don't use the term banger, dude.
I would like to say. I would okay. I'm gonna simplify this down to one single little thing. If you like, wrestling had a time period where it was everyone like it was at its most popular. I would not say that's today. I would say it's probably when DX was around. So all of those people, if you played them all three of these songs, the only one most people would probably recognize,
the NWO
majority would be the DX one.
Majority. They would NWO is better than DX.
Arguable, but they're not one of the options here. So I would say DX would be one that would be recognized by most people on the planet.
Voodoo Child, okay? No one's popping for Voodoo Child.
I'm popping for Voodoo Child.
It's a good song. You don't like Jimi Hendrix?
Look, I love Jimi Hendrix, but like, if you're playing Real American or Voodoo Child, people are gonna pop more for Real American than Voodoo Child.
Yeah, because that's what they remember from the time when they were young and they liked wrestling, and that's what most people in the world would identify with DX than they would with any of the other options.
And if people play DX right now, a good portion of people are gonna roll their eyes,
groan,
right? But they would recognize it, and then probably nod their. No, they wouldn't groan. They would groan to be yelled sucking and did the chop thing in front of their face.
When DX comes out and everybody's like, they're going to come out and be not funny? Great.
All right, but it's more recognizable and therefore more iconic. People know it. Whatever their reaction is doesn't matter. It's that they know it, and that's what's more important.
That's true, but I guess it depends on if you only watch AEW, then that argument's
well, that would have been my argument against Orange Cassidy. Same thing. Like I love wrestling. I don't really pick sides. I love AEW as well. But if you were to play his theme song, most people would notice a Jefferson Airplane song and probably wouldn't. Like the average people in the planet would probably know it more as the song.
I've watched AEW. I could not tell you what Orange Cassidy's theme song is. Like honestly, I'm like I don't know what it is completely.
Yeah. And I'm always I'm not, as a wrestler, I'm not someone that like will shit on him for being, a meta wrestler. To me, if it's over and people like it, who cares? Make it work. It's fun. That's the beauty of wrestling is you can be creative. So, when people shit on stuff like that, I hate it because it's like, well, you just aren't creative. So, open your mind and come up with some new stuff.
I push back against the idea that just because CM Punk doesn't like the song, that this isn't a good song.
No, that's fair. It's a good song. It's a good song.
Good intro. And I feel like it works better with
career.
But I think very few people would identify it as CM Punk's theme song.
Exactly.
I disagree. I
think Cult of Personality is the iconic,
if you ask
happen.
20 people what CM Punk's theme song is, maybe one might say that. And I really would doubt one would say that.
And right now, that is just speculation. Unless you have a poll in front of you right now, I'm not going to take that point at all.
Let me run into the street.
Yes. I feel like in terms of like getting that pop, right? Fire Still Burns still works very well, especially because of the pause. The pause kind of like it revs up the crowd. It tells the crowd, okay, this is when you're supposed to respond. Everyone lowers down. He touches the ground, checks his watch to see what time it is. He says it's Devin, it's a wrestling thing. Move on, okay? Move on.
Look, CM Punk came out after 1990, so Davin doesn't care about him or anything else beyond that. Davin's still wearing his Davin only watches Iron Sheik and Von Erich matches.
He keeps talking about Bruno Sammartino all the time.
Of course he does, because that's all he knows.
All right.
Listen, if it's not Terry Funk or the Iron Claw, I don't want to know about it.
Order! Yeah. Stop the fight, damn it! Stop the fight.
This is not a fight.
Where's the?
I'll send you that one then.
Oh, somebody stop the damn match!
Oh God!
My God! My God!
That debate had a family.
Honestly, it's between Andre and Jaemeel. Like Jason, you
CM Punk's
came
in
with
all.
a big pop on Dynamite, and DX is not funny. But again, I haven't heard a lot of any downs against Cult of Personality. It was all a lot of DX is old, DX is this, is a bit.
No, I think. Wait, did we not say it's a good song? But it's
we did.
A song that's like it's the song.
It's
not
aged.
that it's the entrance.
Yeah, it's
also the most famous song by
entrance.
that band. So most people that just like music would know it because of that song from that band. DX was written. The DX theme song was written for DX. It wasn't a song on the radio before.
Very true. Same thing with mine.
Yes, also true.
Not made for DX, but
yeah.
I need one more minute. And again,
How about 30 seconds?
Dave's
All
like,
right,
we need to
30
get this show
seconds.
going.
We're an hour in. We're only 3 rounds. We're not even
Oh.
3 rounds done yet.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay. Well, all right, fine.
We're being too nice.
Fuck you, Jaemeel. No, I'm just joking.
30 seconds on the clock.
I'm gonna give it. You know what? I'm just gonna pick it. I'm just gonna pick something.
All right.
I'm gonna give this one to Andre. I'm gonna give
Yay!
He had more.
That's reasonable.
Recognizable, catchy, iconic. There was.
I was really put off by This Fire Burns being an option because I love that song so much too.
You think you can tell us what to do?
But I don't know. I just feel like as far as being recognizable in the world of wrestling, mine fits the bill best.
Outside the debate, DX is an excellent choice.
I have too many negative feelings towards DX in that theme song. Whenever I heard him, like, oh God.
I'm going to step in here and just say, guys, that this was the right pick, Murphy, giving Andre this point. He was the only one who picked a good one.
Stop it!
The other two are
you don't watch wrestling. Get
out
of here.
I watched it when it was WWF, and when it became WWE, it was over for me forever. So that's
30 years ago.
Your opinion is invalid. You're in Davin category.
I like
now.
federations. I like the old school wrestling, and there were so many amazing theme songs, and Andre was the only one who picked a good one. So good job, Andre.
All of the theme songs that you would want to have come out, all of the people are either dead or can't wrestle.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. They were good songs. I like the Jimmy Hart songs. Come on.
Hey, Billy Gunn is still wrestling.
The Jimmy Hart songs are all style parodies of real songs, though.
Yeah. I will agree. Ass Man is a great song.
It's a tight one.
And would have gotten a huge pop in that era for sure.
That would, yeah.
Well, that's the entertainment here in the sports entertainment. And speaking of sports entertainment and sports in general, that's the next topic in our next round.
Oh.
So let's ring that bell. With the sports category, I want to know who is the wrestler that excelled the most at other sports.
This is going to be a quick one.
Yeah, probably.
I believe we have.
Because like most wrestling fans, I don't care about sports beyond wrestling.
Andre's taking the pick. Davin thought he knew what your pick was going to be. I didn't know.
He's wrong.
Andre.
Who's up first? Andre?
Andre's.
Am I first? Okay.
First.
My pick is Brock Lesnar. I'm a big fan of Kurt Angle, and that's what Davin wanted me to pick. But Kurt Angle's career was, he did win Olympic gold medals, so that for sure. But I kind of attribute success with name recognition and how aware the world in general is of their feats. And I also kind of thought that this was supposed to be after their career in wrestling. Like they went on after wrestling to do stuff, not really thinking about everything else. But I do think it still applies. I went with Brock Lesnar because, he left the WWE, went to New Japan for a while, and then went to the UFC and became one of the most popular and dominant UFC, performers in quite a long time. Also adding, and what I like about this choice is that it adds more legitimacy to how physical wrestling itself is, because a guy that was known for being a wrestler went into what most people perceive as a real sport, in a real combat sport, and and I'm using that in quotes for those who can't see if this is an audio version, that went on to show that he's physically dominant in an actual physical confrontation that doesn't have a predetermined outcome. So Brock Lesnar is my choice.
The Beast from the East, or was that his nickname back in the day? I can't remember.
Just the Beast.
Was the Beast from the
Just
East.
the Beast. He was just the Beast.
Wait. Anyway, just the Beast. Brock Lesnar choice with Andre. That means we're moving on to Jaemeel with.
He's also Canadian, so that's cool.
Yes, he's also Canadian.
Yeah.
My pick is one of the members of the legendary stable, the Four Horsemen.
Ooh,
Mongo.
Oh my god.
Mongo McMichael.
All right, I figured you out. You just pick the most esoteric thing and do it, right? That's the thing.
No, this makes
Mongo
sense.
McMichael.
Let the man
Mongo
talk.
McMichael.
I want to know. I
He's
want to
an
know how he's
All-American
going to
in
pull this off.
1979, right? Selected multiple times as an All-American, one time as a unanimous All-American. He won a Super Bowl 20 with the Chicago Bears. He's also, he is inducted in the Collegiate Sports Hall of Fame. He is one out of 21 individuals from his alma mater, his School of Texas, that is in that Hall of Fame since the school's introduction made in 1893. So imagine that entire period of the amount of football players that have played for a big school such as Texas, and he is only one out of 21 that has made the Hall of Fame. Talk more about it after the break.
Was it Lex Luger really?
But one of 21 with Jameel's pick, Mongo McMichael.
Mongo McMichael. Wow, I haven't heard that name in a very long time.
That leaves us with Jason's budding and wonderful pick. What do you got, Jason?
I'm reeling from that choice, but I was going to pick Lesnar because I also understood the question to be after. But the thing is like, it's not. It can be from any time. I chose Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle won the Olympic medal with a broken freaking neck. He likes to talk about the 3 I's, which of course are intensity, and integrity, and intelligence, which he excelled at all 3 during his career.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes into WWF at the time, I believe it was that still, and he won the title real fast. They put the rock in his back because he can talk. He's a great wrestler. He brings legitimacy in a similar way that Brock Lesnar would end up doing later. But he falls more in the category of like a Ken Shamrock, where they sort of put their career in the real sports first. I know that era of UFC for Ken Shamrock is a little bit different, but I will say at the end of all of this that Kurt Angle's the clear choice because it's real, damn real, and it's true. It's damn true.
Kurt Angle is my favorite wrestler of all time, for sure, by far.
These are
Always
excellent
has
opening remarks from the sports. Let's kick the ball off and see where she goes. Gentlemen, take the floor. Who wants to step in?
So
Mongo McMichael, let's go. Let's hear this.
Actually,
let's hear this.
I want to hear what you have to say about
Jaemeel
Steve
talk about
Mongo McMichael. His footwork in wrestling was garbage.
Mongo, good old Mongo.
He was an okay commentator, I guess.
One of the 4 horsemen, one of the 19
Somehow
four horsemen.
So wait,
the worst horseman.
I'm not understanding how either of you are arguing against Mongo, right? Like your point that he's a terrible wrestler? So that's not the point of this question. He was a wrestler, right? So who was the best? Like who is the wrestler who excelled the most in other sports?
Did he win an Olympic gold medal?
Well, then I would qualify that he's not like who is the wrestler. Like I'd even use the word wrestler in quotes. Like,
yeah, barely, could barely wrestle. It's part of the question, right?
If beating people senseless when trying to do a wrestling match was what the category may have been,
he was
under
contract throwing non-worked potatoes. Yeah, for sure.
Just crowbarring up and down the East Coast for sure, and the West Coast, all over the world.
Call him like mashed potatoes all the time, all day. Potato Town.
Now, Kurt Angle and Lesnar are pretty evenly matched for this particular category.
I would,
but it comes down to who can do the better moonsault. And I recall Brock Lesnar landing directly on his head trying to do that.
Brock Lesnar didn't do that doing a moonsault. He did that doing a shooting star press. Actually.
Shooting star press.
Correct.
a move that he did beautifully every other time he did it, except for that particular WrestleMania.
Not on television. Though,
Yeah,
right?
OVW, but yes.
Okay. OVW.
My argument would be this: like Lesnar's continuing on. Like I know Angle's career is done, and Angle had quite an issue with painkillers and stuff, which really screwed up his life.
He was Kirk Angle though. He was jumping off.
That's true.
That stuff every single time he jumped off
clip
something.
of him doing that running senton on Abyss from TNA is one of the most insane ways I've ever seen a wrestler throw their body at someone else.
Yeah.
But
And
Lesnar,
Lucha Underground
I agree
exists.
if you like Lesnar as a wrestler now or not, whatever. But he is a draw, and that's why they keep doing what they do with him. I don't particularly like what they do with him because it's not interesting to me as someone who likes the active wrestling. But he is a draw. There's a reason why they keep putting him at the top of the card because he makes money and he's popular. And a lot of that is because of how intimidating he was in UFC and how much damage he'd done. And I'm not a big UFC guy. Like I really am not. I just think as far as creating a legitimate wrestler out of the laurels of what they did in the real world, Lesnar's probably the biggest one.
Maybe post, but like Kurt Angle goes down in a history book that's like so legitimate compared to UFC, which I also don't care for UFC.
No, I would agree with you amongst wrestling fans, but if I asked the average guy in the street who Kurt Angle is, if they didn't like wrestling, they'd have no idea. Not based on his Olympic gold medal.
There's not a UFC debate.
Well, that's fair enough. You can say it the same way the other way, but I don't know. I feel like Lesnar, as far as
Thank you. He did his role.
Jeanette Matthews defending old Mongo.
Mongo also held an impressive streak of 101 starts. Right, he is considered one of the best defensive units ever, defensive tight ends. Steve Ditka
football stats make me immediately bored.
It doesn't matter if it's bored or not. In addition, in high school he lettered right in basketball, baseball, golf, tennis.
Did he do any of that with a broken neck though?
Yeah, but UFC, with wrestling and with UFC, that's an extension of wrestling. Football isn't. Like it's not. At least wrestling is
an other sport. Thank you very much.
That is fair.
I
appreciate
that as well.
But
I'm just
saying, as far as connecting to wrestling overall,
MVP in the Pro Bowl, had multiple Pro Bowl appearances. Right, played a career of over 14 years in the NFL. Right.
But I don't care about any of that.
I only care about one, and that's the world mine. Okay, I think we can wrap this up.
Ring the bell, yeah. I've made my choice here.
That was a valiant
effort for Mongo.
Yeah.
Mongo.
I didn't know any of that about Mongo, so that's
Steve
impressive
Mongo
that somebody looked that up.
Not only was it a valiant effort for Mongo took the win. Jaemeel gets that right.
Hey.
I knew I had that. I had that round.
Somewhere Steve Mongo McMichael is snapping out of a drug-induced stupor. Be like, what? Someone say my name?
He is an awful wrestler. He is awful. I hate him as a wrestler.
Oh, he's the worst. Worst.
The question again was who did the best excelling at sports outside of wrestling, and Jaemeel came in with a lot of examples of Mongo's rewards, the other sports he took over. I heard a lot about Kurt Angle's gold medal. I heard a lot about Kurt Angle's gold medal, and then I heard about Brock Lesnar's UFC career, and I heard about Brock Lesnar's UFC career. So I got to give that one to Jaemeel.
We found our thing and we rested on it. So I agree with that point.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, that was a good argument. I'm still floored that Steve Mongo McMichael's name even came up, let alone won a round. So, I mean, hey, the beauty of wrestling is when unexpected things happen, and that's all part of it.
And with the football thing that you mentioned, football is basically a farm league for wrestlers.
It was, yeah, for sure.
Anymore, or was, yeah.
All right.
You didn't talk about Brock Lesnar's football career.
That's true. That's because I'm not that familiar with it.
Wasn't it a CFL career?
Yeah,
right.
Minnesota,
wasn't it? I think he played for Minnesota, didn't
he? Yeah, that's right.
He did play for the Vikings at one point. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna shift from sports into the past as we dig deeper into the history. That is our next question.
Okay.
What was the most successful wrestling event outside of North America?
This is gonna be fun.
We're gonna have Jaemeel start this question.
Okay. Oh no, he's laughing already. He's laughing already. It's gonna be good.
Explain to the audience the answers you were giving me when I asked you this question.
So, I got hung up with the term outside of North America because I kept providing North American suggestions. So
Were they like Mexico or something? Or?
No, it was pretty obvious I was wrong.
It was like Survivor Series in Montreal and stuff like that.
The Montreal Screwjob.
You know, North America isn't just America, right?
Yeah, it doesn't get much more North America than that.
Yes. So I went to Japan and I went to Wrestling Dontaku 2013, which is the birthplace of the Bullet Club.
Oh,
yes. So it takes place on May 3rd, and the event marks the beginning of the Bullet Club, where Prince Devitt turns and joins was it Bad Fale, Carl Anderson, and you gotta excuse me with this.
Oh, it's Tongo? That's not Tongo?
Tongo, there you go. Yes.
Team Tongo McMichael.
We joined the Bullet Club, right? And what kicks off a storyline that not just impacted New Japan Pro Wrestling, but also the butterfly effect of this move has been felt throughout the wrestling world, that has affected all organizations when it comes to WWE, AEW, TNA, Impact, etc., etc.
All right, so that is Dontaku 2013.
Steve Tongo McMichael.
Steve Tongo McMichael in the middle of the ring.
So good.
That's amazing.
And that's gonna move on to our next pick with Andre. Andre, what event did you choose?
I picked the Collision in Korea that happened in 1995, in which Antonio Inoki fought Ric Flair in North Korea, in Pyongyang, North Korea. It was it is, I believe, it's disputed, but there is evidence that it is the highest attended wrestling event ever in the history of the world. They had 165,000 people on day one and 190,000 people on day two. Now, this was North Korea, so whether they had any say in whether they were there or not doesn't matter, because that's how many people had come out to the event. It was a massive, massive amount of humans that showed up for one wrestling event, and the biggest in the world. The show itself was, that's beside the point. It's basically how successful it was. And to me, having that many humans in one space is insane, especially at a wrestling event. When WWE bought the catalog of WCW, they actually didn't actually put this one on all their streaming stuff, because they didn't want to admit that it outsold anything they'd ever done before, because it was a WCW venture. So.
All right. Collision at Korea.
Oh, and it's also one of the best episodes of Dark Side of the Ring you'll ever watch. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Such a good episode.
Yeah, it's probably the best one. It's up there. It's really good.
Check that one.
Wonderful side caveat. So Jason, you are coming in with a wonderful choice for history. What is that?
I went with a sort of unconventional choice. I chose Clash at the Castle. And Clash at the Castle is representative to me of the WWE changing gears. I believe it was the first pay-per-view under Triple H's regime. The fact that they went back to Europe after so long was like a big deal. I know that the European wrestling fans are very outspoken about how they need more like bigger companies going over there and doing it. And I love the aesthetic of this pay-per-view. The main event, this is well into Roman Reigns' like epic 3-year title run. He was as hot as he could get. It's right at the beginning of the big Bloodline storyline. That's sort of the predominant angle in wrestling right now. And it's great to see Drew McIntyre headlining pay-per-views with crowds, because he was the guy during COVID, but unfortunately once crowds came back, they sort of cooled him down, and it's such a huge main event in my opinion.
Jason going with the 3MB choice of Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns.
He's got kids.
Hey, Heath Slater just needs to win that title now, and then all three of them are champs.
Oh my goodness! Just a
good luck on
that. Don't hinder the gender.
Don't hinder the gender.
Yeah. I should wear my Jinder Mahal shirt.
And don't hinder this round, gentlemen. Let's get us started. What's the biggest event outside of North America?
So it seems, Jason, that you approached this question, I guess, seemingly the same way I did, in the terms of the ramifications of what the pay-per-view has created since
that's not
that moment,
success,
right? Well, that's what we're debating right now. Whereas yours was more of a gate performance, where
which is success. I mean, you have to
it's
measure
a measure
down
of success.
Yeah, you have to measure to what actually is successful, and if it's made them money. I mean, like, as anyone who's involved in wrestling, that's the core of everything. Is how much money did it make? And that show. I mean, I don't know how that works in North Korea, but as far as the amount of people that came out to watch the show,
also do Collision in Korea, and I almost want to completely just bow out because the question was the most successful, and nothing comes close to that by like such a large margin. That
so
my
Jason,
thing
if
with the
you
question
want to
Castle
bow out
is-
the conversation, I'm totally fine
I'm
with
still
it as well.
talking. It's very important to realize that the WWE is still on top, and Triple H's run right now as being the guy booking is extremely prevalent. For
I agree.
numbers.
He's doing great stuff there.
Which is fair, but okay,
they're
so
having their
Andre,
biggest dates of all time, and this is sort of that starting point. And going back to Europe is such a big deal for fans of WWE there because they just got a drought for so long.
Okay,
Well, they
Andre,
do the UK.
Over
The
there.
NXT UK is still
Andre,
operating.
I'm a little bit confused
Yeah, but that's
about
a
your
cheap
choice.
show at best.
Just for one simple something, what is the follow up to this huge event? What was the aftermath of it? Because it isn't just making money at one event. It's also wrestling isn't just a one shot deal. It's a company that continues to
But
make
the question
money,
was single event. It wasn't what led beyond it. This event by itself was the event.
Well,
so this and also it caused a big thing at the time on a world level because people were aware of it because people from America and Japan were going into North Korea, which was like on a drawing attention towards wrestling as well. It was a massive news story because like people didn't go to North Korea, they still don't. But as far as continuing on with the wrestling promotion in North Korea of it, no. And I agree. I know that the Bullet Club thing is interesting, but once again, WWE is still on top, no matter what you say about New
But who are
Japan
these
or
guys
AEW.
in the main event? I've never heard of either.
You never heard of Ric Flair or Antonio
I've never heard of
Inoki?
Antonio Inoki. I've never heard of Ric Flair.
Wait, what?
I think that the two of them. I think that they probably disappeared into obscurity.
Into
after
obscurity.
That
They did shortly
probably.
after. No one ever heard of them. And it was such a big deal at the time because Inoki's
I've never heard of
father
Korea.
was from North Korea,
Where
I
even
think.
is that? Is that in somewhere in Mexico or?
Yeah, it's a small province.
Just a small province in Mexico. Okay.
Inoki's father was actually North Korean, and so that was like a huge thing amongst them to bring him back home and make that out of it. So I don't know. To me, I think as far as the biggest event ever, you can't deny this is it.
I just feel like your argument is from a perspective in comparison to mine. Yours is like a lump sum, where mine is like you're getting 20,000 a week for life, right?
For who, the wrestlers or for the promoter?
Well,
because New Japan certainly reaped the benefits of that event, but later.
And then New Japan did, yes, and it led to the formation of the Bullet Club, which eventually had the Young Bucks.
Which is what now? I don't know what's going on with the Bullet Club now.
Well, hold on a second. Let me continue. The Young Bucks, who are currently working with ROH and want to work with New Japan, right? That helped broker the deal between New Japan getting into North America more so and kind of expanding from there, right? You have the Bullet Club, which showed that other promotions can actually be a brand that's worth marketing and selling, from Funko, from Hot Topic, right? He's trying to ring the bell, Dave. You're not watching.
And similarly, Clash at the Castle had the same ramifications for WWE going forward.
Oh, you want the
yeah, but that doesn't matter. The question was biggest single event. This was the biggest single event, no matter what.
Most successful wrestling event.
Most successful event.
Right. And this one paved the road.
Well, somebody stop the damn man!
Enough's enough.
Yeah. Your subtle cues were picked up on.
But offline though, can you guys explain to me who Ric Flair is? Because I don't.
I will. I'll send you. There's it's deep. It's deep. There's a lot of links. You got to click a lot of stuff. It's way in there.
Yeah,
I'll find it for you.
Pretty much erased from. Okay.
Yeah.
He worked under Mongo.
Right.
He was trained by Mongo.
Right.
He was trained by Mongo McMichael.
Yeah.
All right. I'm fairly certain I've made my choice here. Jaemeel. Unfortunately, you're out on this one. There wasn't enough I could. There wasn't enough I could hear about Dontaku. It was just supposed to be like, these guys made the Bullet Club.
Yeah, the rest of the event.
Ooh. Yeah, it's like, okay. So
Shinsuke
versus
versus
like,
Shelton Benjamin?
well, I mean, but like, what was the numbers? Like, how I didn't quite hear enough about that. Andre was bringing a lot with the Collision at Korea event about the numbers and the world awareness and stuff. However,
oh no,
you shot yourself in the foot when you mentioned, I don't know how much that would translate in Korea, which got me thinking, well, yeah, if this was a mandatory event, then of course it's going to be the biggest event when you make your entire citizens at gunpoint go to it. So therefore, I think I'm going to have to give this to Jason because he made a lot of good points about Clash at the Castle, how it was Triple H's sort of kickoff point for his era of regime, having the biggest gate sales since. So
very surprising, but
yeah.
well argued.
Well argued, sir. Well argued.
Thank you. The new WWE is watchable again, and that's important to me because I too am a wrestling fan of all of it. I'm gonna watch the lowest indie to the right up to the WWE and AEW, and I want my shows to be good. And those last few Vince years were just hard to watch.
No, painful. It was painful. But you know what wasn't painful were those arguments, gentlemen. But you know what is painful? Jaemeel, we have to let you go, unfortunately.
No, we still have the.
Dude, what?
Wait, dude, there's a wild card. I always forget about that. We have 6 questions. I always think it's just 5
I know.
When
we redesigned the color, the logo, you forgot. I'm like, there's 6 rounds, not 5. I think you only have 5.
I know. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Okay, wait. Sorry. Premature.
I'm just saying, if I get eliminated, I could just say you had like bias, right?
Yeah. He was already in like the first round. He's like, "All right, Jaemeel, you're done." You're like, I didn't even argue yet. No, it's over. Get out of here.
Yeah, Jaemeel, you would need this to at least tie things up. Yeah. So
So there's going to be a little bit more fire.
Yeah, you got to be some fire. Bring the heat.
Right, bring the heat. Ring the bell. All right, wild card question. Gentlemen, which wrestler has the best comedic performance in the ring? We're going to be starting this one off with Andre.
Oh, hands down, the best professional wrestler of all time, Kurt Angle. That guy proved everything that what makes him so amazing is that he was one of the best wrestlers, but also did some of the best segments I've ever seen in WWE as far as humor goes. He wasn't afraid to poke fun of himself. He wasn't afraid to look silly. He went above and beyond to be one of the most entertaining character probably ever in professional wrestling on every way. As a wrestler, when he's a bad guy and he was like a sinister bad guy, when he was a goofy bad guy, when he was comedic face, when he was a face, all of those things just show how great of a performer he was. The segment with the that you had shown there with the cowboy hats, when he's singing Jimmy Crack Corn, the segment with the milk truck when he parodied what Austin did with the beer truck. I mean, all of that stuff was amazingly entertaining and incredibly funny. The hair versus hair match with Edge when he was wearing a wig under a wrestling helmet for a long time. All of that stuff was incredibly entertaining, incredibly fun, and just showed how versatile and innovative he was as a performer on all levels.
All right, the Olympic gold medal choice from Andre with Kurt Angle. That means we're going to step on over to Jason for his choice.
I chose another kind of modern person, and I went with Sami Zayn. He's ever since they turned him heel, and he was doing the arguably a really dumb gimmick of being a conspiracy theorist. Oh my God, that picture! There you go. That's my debate right there. That picture of his face. There was a moment where he came out with he's got this big beard and this scraggly hair, and he came out with like a suit on. And it turned into like a viral meme because of this suit. He had T-shirts of it, and people were lapping it up. And that conspiracy theory gimmick was kind of lackluster, but he made it work because he's a funny guy. But more recently, they have based an entire year-long storyline around him being part of the bloodline in an Owen Hart in the Nation sort of capacity. And every time that he would get in front of that crowd, they're trying to have these serious, heartfelt promos, and he's making the boy's corpse the whole time. Roman Reigns is supposed to be this serious, stoic character, and he got him to crack multiple times. And I think that that's funny inside the ring, and it's funny for the audience, and it's sort of a next level comedy character.
I love how this is going.
Okay.
This is an excellent choice with Sami Zayn.
Okay.
The bloodline, Jaemeel.
Audrey's gonna love this one. My choice is Ron the Truth Killing.
I am.
Yes. When we're
What, the
talking...
dam? Oh, Ron the Truth Killing. Sorry, I got it right. Ron Simmons. Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, fair enough. Fair enough. Ron the Truth Killing. Well, you're not referring to. Okay, well, he's not Ron the Truth Killings here.
Well, he's our truth. Like,
all right,
our truth. Ron the Truth Killings. Right. That's where the name comes from.
Okay.
He has been saddled with such stupidity, and he has continued to make it work and excelled, taken absolutely garbage and made it into a buffet of comedic gold. From his pledge to win the Royal Rumble and eliminate Paul Heyman, which totally made Brock Lesnar crack completely, and like they did not know, to the taking a ladder into the Royal Rumble, thinking that it was Money in the Bank, and everyone loving that moment, to little Jimmy, to the 24/7 title. The man has been at the top of the game in terms of comedic performance.
Okay. Excellent opening remarks. Excellent choices for this wild card. Bring the funny, gentlemen. Tell me who is the funny in your choices.
Sami Zayn is hands down the funniest.
My only thing I have to say is I get that as a person who's aware of wrestling, the behind the scenes of wrestling, we all are. When a wrestler makes another wrestler crack, that's entertaining for us. It's not entertaining on a grand scheme when you have plans involved that you need the guy to be serious or look like a monster. When he breaks laughing, it's a departure from the way the show should be, which is fine, but it makes the show worse in my opinion, because if you need someone to be a tough guy, exactly, like if you need someone to be tough or appear a certain way, if they're laughing, you either have to suddenly edit all that stuff out, or if it's live, then you're stuck with whatever you get.
Yes and no.
That's just for the boys. That's all that is for us.
Those bloodline, that bloodline storyline could have just continued to be boring, and it's my island.
Sami Zayn's great, hilarious.
And then they brought in Sami Zayn as a bit part to sort of just be like their lackey.
He made it his own and killed
it. He ended up climbing up and just standing with them. And
but was it due to his comedic performance, or because he's a great performer?
It's both. It's both. It's an entertainment thing at the end of the day, like we mentioned before, and the crowd being let in a little bit. Like, I know it does crack up the boys in the back and in the ring, but as a fan, sometimes you want to be let in a little bit, and it's shown a light on that these people are people. And I think that entertains the crowd a lot.
But that's like if I'm in a play, like I do stage acting, and if I make someone crack on stage because I make a joke, that ruins that takes away from the show overall.
Very true.
Like if I'm playing Caesar and I make Brutus laugh because I do something funny, like that's not the way the show should be, and not the experience we're trying. But
wrestling's more complex than just
that's fair enough.
It's one of the more complex performances you can do.
Do you believe that Sami Zayn's performance is helped in part because Triple H is now in charge, and therefore he has the ability to actually
I think a little bit,
yeah.
But this storyline came off of Vince being like, that works, Jack, put him in there, let's see what else happens.
Well, they don't have enough faith in him to put the title on him. They didn't do that in that match, which they should have when he was
I don't think it was the right time. I think that this Cody
when's the right time going to be? You think there's going to be a better spot beyond that one? I think what they should have done is gone. Well, this is getting outside of this, but it should have gone the triple threat route, which would have been much more entertaining.
Correct.
To me.
I do agree with you. And that would have kept Sami Zayn in a comedy role because he's funny in the match. That match with Johnny Knoxville should have been the drizzling shit, and it was one of the more entertaining matches of that.
Fantastic performer. However,
with Kurt Angle, let's talk about Kurt Angle.
Let's talk about Kurt Angle and how great he is.
Kurt Angle. Let's have some moments in the ring specifically. So you mentioned the Edge versus Kurt Angle
the hair match,
the hair match, and then I guess we can talk about the
milk truck. Fantastic, huge segment. That was like when Austin was the heel leader of the Invasion. That he was like the top heel at the time, and that was an amazing way to end the show and call back to an iconic moment of WWE's past. So it's hilarious.
Okay.
I mean, him singing, all of that stuff, and even some of the comedic stuff that happened in the matches themselves, like the Rumbles and stuff. He'd have comedic moments here and there as well, and always really, really fun stuff. Like,
I can't think of his Royal Rumble stuff.
To me, what makes it more interesting is that he was a fierce competitor and someone that you took seriously, but could also do the comedy, and it didn't hinder him in his career as a wrestler. So like you could still make him world champion. You could still I can't hear you, Jason. You could still make him world champion. You could still you could do anything with him, put him in any role you need it, and he would excel at it. But he could also be funny. He wasn't shoehorned by the fact he was funny into being a clown character like Zayn and like R-Truth. I like them both. I think they're fantastic. Zayn is a fantastic competitor, and so is R-Truth. As far as the wrestling
goes, R-Truth's a great competitor,
but they get shoehorned into being a comedian.
But you know what? If you're a clown, be the best clown that you can be. And this dude has, throughout the eras, so through Vince, through Triple H, has continued to excel in his comedic performance.
But a lot of Truth's comedy comes from the fact that he fucked stuff up, and they're just making and actually fuck stuff up. Like part of the humor was that he would say things wrong in his promos, and then they draw attention to it later because he actually made mistakes. So like as a performer, he was messing up. Sure, they capitalized on it, but overall, it's like,
well, he capitalized on it, right? So yeah.
They capitalized on it. I mean, he got to keep his job, so it's continued on. And I mean, he's a great performer.
I think it's become his gimmick for the most part, and he has excelled in doing that performance of that screw up, right?
But his later stuff is not good. When he tried to do funny stuff later, I mean later, like recently, specifically the Raw he came out on was trying to be funny with DX. I thought that all was just very boring and very.
They just bring him out now to point fun at him more so than actually be a comedic entity. It's more of a let's make fun of how stupid he is than actually him being entertaining and comedic.
That's man getting hit by football is still funny.
God, you're not wrong. This is the thing. You're not wrong.
Somebody stop the damn I want to give Jason 30 more seconds because he had a bit of mic trouble there at the end. And
you had to start up the generator again.
Yeah, I got hit by football a little bit.
30 seconds.
I was listening to what you guys were saying, and you make very good points for your guys. But I think as far as wrestling relevancy on today's stage, Sami Zayn has done more to put over bad storylines and bad gimmicks. And I'm not saying the bloodline was going to be bad with or without him, but it was a situation where he came in as a bit part. It's not unlike Hero from the show Heroes, who was supposed to just be in there for a second, but he won over the audience in such a major way that they just kept him on the show. And that's what happened with the bloodline.
So I'm trying to understand, okay, outside of the bloodline, can you give any examples of his comedic performance? Because for Kurt Angle, he's worked well, not really.
Yeah, his match with Johnny Knoxville was supposed to suck, and I enjoyed the
conspiracy theory thing and just the bloodline. Whereas I can think of a multitude of Kurt Angle comedic moments throughout the variety of time that he's spent in competing against things. Same thing with Ron the Truth, Little Jimmy, the Royal Rumble stuff, the 24/7 stuff, like multiple errors of like comedic moments.
I didn't hear a lot about Little Jimmy, and I wish I had him though, because that's his best shit.
Yeah, that was the time when he could have been at the top, but that was also like 10 years ago. So
speaking of Zayn winning the title in this current run, they should have put the Rocket on because he's so funny.
Okay. I got to make a choice here. I think I have to give it to Andre because it just throughout the whole argument there was just more examples of comedic performance of Kurt Angle. Everybody kind of unanimously agreed.
Kurt Angle sort of stands in his own in that respect too. You know,
he's the total package.
Kurt Angle, I was like, ugh.
Yeah, Sami Zayn had, he's an entertainer, but the thing that kind of punctured the hole in the Sami Zayn was Andre's argument about how if you're making Brock Lesnar crack, or even for R-Truth, it was sort of like it was a double-headed a torpedo attack from Andre that was well pointed. That if you're making your monsters crack in the middle of the ring, that really takes away from the performance of how they're supposed to be terrifying people. I did agree with your point on like it brings us in as fans to know that they're people. These people are just people. But yeah, as it was about comedic performance and not so much about entertainment and fourth wall breaking.
I saw the writing on the wall when you mentioned that. I was like, oh man, it's 100% correct.
Believe me, I've done it. I've made guys laugh in matches. They've done it to me. But that's in a house show somewhere where it's not on a crazy television program. So
I think we missed The Rock. Where's The Rock in this conversation?
That's right. And I thought about the Hurricane as well, because I loved him and all his segments with The Rock were hilarious.
The Hurt Jobber, the Hurt.
Yeah, when he would be being the wearing the hat and being the reporter and the intrepid reporter, all that stuff was really fun.
That's funny, but like The Rock really changed the game in terms of how funny he was in his promos. Before
That is
The
true.
Rock, I don't think anyone was as good.
Yeah, that's fair. But I guess Kurt Angle's always been to me my favorite, like the top of the mountain. I like The Rock, but
Kurt Angle's worthy too, I think. And I don't know the other guys because they're new guys and who cares? But
Jesus.
Okay, Davin.
Sami Zayn's Canadian. Come on, man.
Yeah,
I was
from Montreal.
I was feeling that it was really only Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle was able to be comedic in the ring specifically. Like Johnny Knoxville segment aside, Sami Zayn for me has always been more of a serious character up until recently.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
But he was a fantastic wrestler.
Yeah. Whereas Kurt Angle was, yes, able to straddle the line of being serious in the ring and have those comedic moments, right? The Rock does promos, but while he's wrestling, I don't think of him like there was much comedy.
Well, Kurt Angle's
People's Elbow.
good.
The People's Elbow. It was hilarious. Like
Kurt Angle's especially good because his gimmick of being funny is that he doesn't know he's being funny.
Yeah.
He's being ironically funny, and then
It's like the movie Airplane. He thinks it's totally, he's playing it serious. Everyone's playing it serious, but the situations around it are crazy.
You didn't mention the rap battle with Kurt Angle.
Oh right, I forgot about that. That was good. Oh man.
And then I think there's
just
that
looked
more
at
recent
Dread.
one where he makes the face before he gets punched by Triple H. I think.
Oh,
he does the cell face. Yeah.
Although
he's just waiting. Yeah, he's just oblivious to it. Yeah, that was funny.
I hated the whole cowboy hat stuff from the Invasion.
Yeah, I dug it.
Take charge here, Murphy.
All right, we gotta move on. We're getting
okay. So
James has places to go. I'm gone.
Jaemeel, I'm gonna miss you, buddy. It was great talking to you.
Hold on, we have a clip for you, Jaemeel. Before you go, it's
oh no.
Yeah. Sorry.
Amazing.
All right. Well, participation, Jaemeel. You're welcome to hang out and host.
I will. I'll be right back. All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So head into the speed round. So
speed round.
You each get a 30-second opening clip statement, and then the other person goes, and then 15 seconds after that each to kind of rebut. So, and that's all you get. And then Murphy has to make up his mind about who wins the round. So, just give me 2 seconds here. I just have to add. I should have done this while we were talking.
With Jaemeel eliminated, that leaves our final two competitors, André Myette and Jason Phillips. The immovable force meets the irresistible object. Is that how it goes? I forget.
Unstoppable object.
Unstoppable.
Yes. Something like that.
I'll be the irresistible object.
I think I had an audio clip set up.
The irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
There it is. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, that's close. Yeah. It's generally
so as we get in these speed rounds, producer Dave, when you're ready.
I think I am. Where'd that other go? Okay, sorry, you guys. Just have to drag this up, and here we go. Okay.
So I want the answer after I've asked the question. Don't jump in, but first one to come to the table with it gets to open remarks and so on.
Okay.
So for movies, best movie about wrestling.
Oh, The Wrestler The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke by Darren Aronofsky. 100% is the best movie about wrestling. Everybody who's been involved with anybody who's been involved with wrestling has known that character, has been on shows with that character, or is that character. And that's the saddest thing about it. Like, that show certainly mirrors the sadder parts of that lifestyle. It doesn't really dwell on the happier side of it because, I do it and I'm not falling apart or dying or slinging meat somewhere. But there are a lot of people that story is all about. And a lot of them even worked on the show and trained Rourke as well. So, I mean, as far as showing the real life world behind wrestling and also the fun of wrestling has been in that movie.
Phillips, which is your choice?
I think that Nacho Libre is a great choice for this particular question.
Yes.
I think it's a great comedy. Jack Black shines. Maybe nowadays it doesn't hold up as well because of Jack Black is not of Spanish descent. However, I think that it is a great film, and deserves to be in the contention because it does show a lot of wrestling. It shows luchadors. Probably a lot of people didn't know about luchadors before that movie even existed, and I think that, like I said, Jack Black really shines in the role. I think it's a great comedy. It's super funny.
Your rebuttal.
Yeah, I think it's more of a comedy than a wrestling movie. As far as the actual wrestling that happens in that movie, there's very little actually interesting wrestling. It's a lot of but it is true to the luchador style where there's 100 people in the ring all at once and everybody's just whamming into each other. But that to me, it's like a comedy that doesn't really show the real world of wrestling. It just shows the candy-coated veneer that the audience
Your
sees,
rebuttal.
not all of wrestling.
Well, I would absolutely have to disagree with that because wrestling is about entertainment, and our previous round of this was who is the better comedian. And when I'm watching wrestling, I want a little bit of that wrestling, I want a little bit of that entertaining comedy, and I really, I wasn't going to choose Nacho Libre, but I think it's very important culturally to show people those other styles of wrestling.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. I think I'm gonna have to give this one to Andre because he sort of went more in depth about the wrestling of wrestling and how Nacho Libre is more of a comedic comedic representation. Although there is
fun movie,
but yeah, I think Andre's got the choice with that one. So that leaves our second question in the TV category. Name a wrestler that would make for a good sitcom.
Kurt Angle, absolutely Kurt Angle. I think that if Kurt Angle had his own show, he would be the oblivious straight man, and all of this wacky stuff would be happening around him, and he would be reacting to it as the straight man, but still, due to his acting prowess and his comedy ability, he would be able to fully encapsulate what it means to be on a sitcom. I'm a fan of sitcoms myself, and I could absolutely see him do the look at the camera thing after something wacky happens to him from one of his co-stars who are all trying to do the jokes. And this could be a family comedy for sure. He could be the dad of a family.
Your rebuttal.
All right, I'm not a big fan of the modern way of sitcoms, so I'm going to go with The Undertaker because what I want to do is I want to do a sitcom. It all clicked in my head when you were talking. I want to do a sitcom where he is the dad in the family. Everyone else in the family is normal, but he is The Undertaker. He acts the way, he rolls the eyes. He's got to go to the PTA meetings, and everyone's terrified of him. The kids don't know how to approach him. He's out there mowing the lawn, and the neighbors are terrified. I think that's a much more interesting idea. He's building coffins in the backyard. All of this stuff would make for a very, maybe one kid is like him, one isn't. It's kind of that Munsters feel. But I think it would be a really fun and interesting way to have your dad as a demon-possessed professional wrestler that just has a normal life.
With Kurt Angle being the dad, though, classic sitcoms always had a very special episode, and there could be a situation, a two episode arc where he actually gets hooked on painkillers, and it's very sad, and he has to go to rehab, and nobody makes jokes during those episodes, and he goes over, and the Undertaker is the next door neighbor, of course.
Your rebuttal.
Well, I'm gonna just posit that they did do a show where the lead character got addicted to painkillers. It was called Roseanne Season 1, and they killed her off because of it. So it wasn't that entertaining or that exciting. It was a way to get rid of a character they didn't want on the show. And that's generally what they're going to do. They're going to addict you to pain pills. That or Jesse on Saved by the Bell. But no, I think The Undertaker, you can have a lot of fun with the world around him being. It's like Tim Burton, but the opposite, where one character is Tim Burton and the rest is the candy-colored happy world. And it'd be like Edward Scissorhands, but with wrestling, which sounds awesome.
It's Angle's house versus the Munster Taker.
Ooh, tough call. They're both good.
Oh, good. I want to see both of these shows. Oh fuck! I need some outside.
I was gonna say, ask Jaemeel.
Jaemeel, what did you guys think about that one?
Okay, so the thing about it is, with the Kurt Angle pick, I didn't really get the character, right? I got Kurt Angle, but Kurt Angle is such a multifaceted thing. Is it the real person? Is it the wrestler? What about the wrestler? Whereas Andre's suggestion, we got more of the actual character that would be in the sitcom, the wrestler itself that was in the sitcom. So that's why I would go lean more towards Andre. If Jason, you hit more of how the Olympic character was more involved, I would have went with yours.
Yeah, I had more, but I kind of
got hung up on the perk angle took over.
That's popped into my head, and
a very special episode.
Yeah, 2-episode arc where he's addicted to painkillers.
He's just that's exciting, especially guys addicted to perks. It's just him sitting in the corner drooling on himself.
That's our dad.
That's our dad.
Fuck. See. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Angle's house just because.
Oh no!
You passed the puck into your own net there.
I love the idea that that these two shows, one could be a spinoff off the other, like Angle and they do live beside
each other in canon.
That would be great.
Yeah,
that should have been like it should have been WWE Street, and then they actually have all the different houses where the wrestlers live. That should have been a
kind of like that god awful summer camp cartoon,
or that Legends House they did as a reality TV show.
All right, so we're going to move into the music round for this one. This is going to be a choose 'em. I'm going to give you two choices, so listen carefully. Once I'm done asking the questions, it depends on who I hear first. For music, who's got the better intro in the 90s, Raw or SmackDown?
No.
Raw.
All right.
Jason with Raw. Andre's going to go for SmackDown. Jason, when you're ready.
The Raw? Are you kidding? Compared to SmackDown, Raw has this like gross butt rock intro. Like that exemplifies 90s wrestling to me. They wanted to, it was all kind of a rip off of ECW because they were like hardcore, but they had to like homogenize it for families a bit. Even though like WWE at the time was like 14A, which is also like a very late 90s thing to do. Like make your new generation like kids characters be, oh, now we're bleeding and swearing and there's boobs everywhere. And that song is perfect for that.
Your rebuttal.
Thorn in Your Eye, man, doesn't get much more 90s.
Well, I mean, SmackDown's changed all the time, but that song became iconic to me because of its use in the game, the SmackDown video games for the PlayStation, which are incredibly popular. Wah, 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 wah. That way they would come always in, and you would recognize that the second the game came up. I couldn't sing the Raw one. I think it's like dun 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 dun, but that's like every rock song. That SmackDown one definitely lingers in your head and brings you back to the time period, which I think means it's an iconic song. Like to me, if it brings you back and you were right there again when you hear it. That to me, that means that it did its job properly. So because of the video games and because of its recognizability on that.
I think that Raw actually, all of their 90s themes were great. There was the original one for the first few years of the show, which made it feel like a night show, like a Saturday Night Live kind of like, get ready to watch your favorite wrestlers. And then when it pivoted over to Thorn in Your Eye, I was on
your rebuttal,
man.
Well, I had to pivot because I couldn't use the word war anymore because they were afraid to use that on television. So they had to rebrand everything. SmackDown was a show sort of built around the popularity of The Rock. And that theme song sort of imbued the energetic performance that he brought to the table, that sort of energy. They called him the most electrifying man of sports entertainment. And the theme really echoed that, I thought. And and they kept it from the start right up until the 2001. So they never shifted it until they got into the 2000s. Raw had a lot longer run. But the SmackDown one was iconic in itself.
Andre gets the point. It's hard to argue all those points about the video game, the iconic, and the sound.
Wow.
I gotta give that one to Andre. Andre, why with SmackDown? Okay.
And then it's like the wah, right in the middle.
I really thought it was gonna go to Raw. I kind of thought, back when Raw had the better intro and stuff.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm as surprised as you guys that I won that. So
I listened to that.
Like a Mongo win.
Mongo McStrong, but his rebuttal argument kind of fell apart there at the last second. I was like, no,
it's a Mongo McMichael option. We got to make that a verb. Whenever someone like comes out of left field and wins, you got to say you were mongoed.
You got mongoed.
You got mongoed on that one.
Got mongoed.
You got mongoed.
All right. Score being Jason up 5, Andre, Jason 3. Here we go for Speedrun Sports.
We're back in the sports territory.
Ooh.
In an official Olympic wrestling match in their prime, who's winning? Curt Hennig or Kurt Angle?
Oh,
Curt Hennig.
Kurt Angle.
Okay.
I think Jason's up first with Hennig.
Okay, go ahead.
First with Curt Hennig.
So, as I recall, Curt Hennig used to be the guy that would like try to fight people in the back all the time and then get their number. I'm sure that if it came down to it in a fight, Kurt Hennig would play a little bit more dirty, and I mean dirty well within the confines of the rules. I think Kurt Angle would be too he would be like just going to the book, and I think Kurt Hennig would ultimately use that as an opportunity. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, is like an ultimate opportunist as a wrestler. I think in an official Olympic wrestling,
Your rebuttal.
He would absolutely do the same thing.
All right, I'm going to draw this to a real world situation. Kurt Hennig got in a fight on an airplane with Brock Lesnar and lost. Well, sort of lost. It got broken up, but it was like quite a left field sort of thing. Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, I believe there's a story where they had some shoot actual wrestling to like back in the day to see who was better. And if I recall correctly, and this is all conjecture, I know, but that Kurt Angle would come up on top. So I feel like as far as watching, since they never really wrestle each other, I have to use someone in the middle that they both wrestled. And I'd say Kurt Angle's performances against Brock Lesnar were much more technical displays than Kurt Hennig's were with Brock Lesnar.
Your rebuttal.
I believe Kurt Hennig wrestled Brock Lesnar very early on in their career.
On Heat. And he lost.
They would have crossed paths.
No, he won. He won on Heat. Sorry.
Well, there you go. Go. He beat him in a real wrestling match on WWF Heat. Kurt Hennig is an old school boy. I think that pound for
Your
pound,
rebuttal.
he would have been a better wrestler.
Well, I think we just got to go on stamina on this one. One of them is still alive, so one of them would have had what was within him to keep going and make it to the end of the match. So I love Kurt Hennig, and not to shit on him and not to play dirty, but that is wrestling. Kurt Angle had the chops to stay alive this long, so Kurt Hennig did not.
Andre with the low blow.
Wow,
Andre with the low blow.
Wow. I'm ashamed of myself.
Too soon. He's only been dead for 20 years.
He died like 20 years ago.
I'm giving this one to Jason because he had a strong open argument. He had a stronger opening argument about Kurt Hennig being, an opportunist and everything. A conjecture of Brock Lesnar being the common denominator between the two is I don't feel it should factor into the question of how these two would end.
That's what may have been a better choice, but
too, and I would have been wrong because I thought Kurt Hennig won that fight with Brock Lesnar on the plane.
He may have. I think I got broken up by like Undertaker or somebody. Or actually, no, I don't think he was on that flight, but I got broken up by someone else.
Did Kurt Hennig win a Olympic medal in wrestling?
No.
But he was like a real wrestler, right?
He was
but like.
Good point.
Okay.
Good point.
But like Bret Hart,
he didn't win an Olympic medal because he didn't probably, go for the Olympics. I bet you if Kurt Hennig had attended the Olympics for Olympic wrestling, he would have had 3 gold medals.
He's perfect.
He's Mr. Perfect. Yeah.
With 2 broken freaking necks.
I'm just saying we're going based on proof, but whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
Speed round history.
Speed round history. We're going for wild card action now.
No, this is history round.
This is history.
God damn it, is it history? Oh, right.
Yep.
Yes, because I didn't have that there and I sent it later. Right. Thank you. So, history question. I'm going to remember this someday. There's going to be 6 questions. I'll remember. So, history question. Which wrestler from the past would have a better rivalry arc with AEW World Champion MJF today? Gino Hernandez or Roddy Piper?
Roddy Piper.
Oh, I heard Jason first for Piper.
Oh, come on. I don't want to do Hernandez.
Listen,
all right.
Gino Hernandez, his Dark Side of the Ring made me a fan of him, but Roddy Piper was the original talker gimmick. Like they didn't put belts on him because they didn't need to. Except for I guess the Intercontinental title, but he's more known for Piper's Pit, which I'm surprised MJF doesn't have a show, like a weekly show. I don't think he needs a show even. So it's a similar thing there. Roddy Piper for his whole career has just been the guy who, when he's on the screen, he's lighting up the screen and you follow his every word. He's kind of like
your rebuttal
snake in that way.
All right, I'm going to put it this way. There's a reason why you don't put chocolate and chocolate together and then call it a new sensation. You put chocolate and peanut butter together. That makes for a more interesting thing. Those two are way too similar to put them together and then say, you two go have a thing. They're literally the same character, which are great. Just pissing off the audience and saying whatever you need to. But what you need is a guy that's different to make it exciting and interesting. And to put Piper and MJF together, like I said, it's just putting chocolate on top of chocolate. You need 2 different flavors to make a new exciting taste sensation, and that's what would happen if you did Hernandez.
You're saying an awful lot about how you wouldn't have Piper and MJF together, but you didn't tell me why
I just did. They're different.
But you didn't tell me why Gino Hernandez would be a better choice. Gino Hernandez also was a great talker, and he was a sleazy man who had sleazy outside of the ring issues. But you didn't bring any of that up. You talked about.
No, but that's the point. Like, it's sleazy, but it's different. Like, their personalities and the way they perform themselves or conduct themselves are almost the same. Those two, Piper and like his was way seedier, way sleazier, and the True Life story made it even better. I don't know any True Life stories about MJF, but I'm sure he's probably a model dude outside of being a wrestler. But the idea of those two being together seemed way more interesting to me, and I'd be much more interested in that than just seeing two clones yelling at each other.
I'm gonna give this one to Jason too.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, he had more. He's like, well, what's Gino gonna bring to the table? And
something different instead of the same thing.
Differences.
Anything different is better than two of the same.
It's vague. Right. Difference is
I
vague.
think I would argue that MJF and Gino are also incredibly similar. Like,
there's a reason I picked both.
In my defense, I don't remember Gino Hernandez as well as I remember Piper, so I had to pull something out. I'm like, I don't remember a lot about Hernandez. Certainly not enough to pull it out for an argument like this. That's a really.
I thought you almost won it with it. I thought.
I know, which was like, I was like, if I pull this out of my ass, it's gonna be amazing.
That opening statement was awesome.
This is the last question. Then here we go. This is for the whole show, the whole damn thing right now.
Go enchilada.
The whole Wild card. What's the best way to end a feud? War Games or Hell in a Cell?
War Games.
Hell in a Cell.
Okay, well they all got what they wanted.
War Games.
So.
With Hell in a Cell, it's great. It's a great blow off. But with War Games, you get to bring in every single person that's been part of the feud on two separate teams and have them enter one by one, allowing each storyline to have little mini spots throughout the whole match. I don't like the ending to War Games. I think that I like an elimination situation. Put that on a shirt. But with War Games, I'll be okay with it because then the person who ends up winning at the end is the ultimate winner of the feud, in my opinion. And you don't need to continue telling the story after something like that. It's literally the war.
War Games muddies the water. It just mixes everything into one big soup, and then none of it really stands out because it's all just compiled into one big thing. Hell in the Cell is the best part of ending a feud of wrestling because you have the two personalities one-on-one facing each other, and it's all on display right there. You don't muddy it with all this other stuff that's coming in. To me, I think it's the better way to end a feud because you get all the beauty of wrestling performance, but all the spectacle of off the cage, in the cage, all the fun stuff people can do with it. So to me, I think I don't remember any War Games that stuck out in my head. I remember a lot of Hell in the Cells, particularly the Mick Foley.
Your rebuttal.
I think with Hell in a Cell, there can be something to be said about it's the two guys finally getting to face off. But as a wrestling fan who likes the Royal Rumble as one of my favorite matches, when you see a War Games match, you get to see all the wrestlers, you get to see the history of that feud, you get to see everybody who's been a part of it, all getting to fight each other inside the ring. Where with Hell in a Cell, those guys are outside the ring and don't get to interact as much.
No, they're not even outside the ring. You boil it down to like the better feuds are between two individuals. There's rare that there are any feuds between factions that I could really stand out and say those are memorable and those are going to stick in my head. I mean, that are really going to stick. I mean, I could name probably 10 one-on-one feuds over the years, and I could name maybe 2 like feud ones that really stick in my head as being iconic and be resonating with people beyond the years. One-on-one's better, way better. And I say that as a tag team champion.
That was after the bell.
That was after the belt. That was after the belt. God damn, that was really good from both of you gentlemen. I love Jason's points about getting the little spurts of storyline and everybody that was involved in storyline is in it. But Andre really was hammering home on the importance of one-on-one feuds and how there were more memorable Hell in the Cell matches with those one-on-one feuds. I think that's enough for me to give it to Andre.
That's reasonable.
That's good argument. War Games are great too, man. But I just
I don't disagree with you either. I wanted to challenge myself on that one. You know.
Yeah, I'm way more of a fan of those matches anyway. Like whenever I book, I always try to throw in big bunch of guys in one matches.
I was thinking about
I find that more entertaining.
I was thinking about specifically the women's War Games matches that have happened because they don't put a lot of time on the women, and those last few, like you get to see all of the storylines that happen during the feud. And you're right though, the one-on-one blow off is the way. That is, it's just the wrestling. It's the way.
And you know what? The War Games thing will in War Games is usually a step towards that. Like they do War Games, and then the two guys that are really feuding would have a Hell in a Cell later, or some big blow off match.
Yeah,
so it's usually a stepping stone on the way to the end.
Dave is just like, come on.
Well,
all right, sorry, Dave.
I want you to celebrate your win, Andre.
Hey!
So, congratulations to Andre.
I would like to split this win between Jason and Jaemeel. They're both fantastic.
With the final gentleman's debate. Gentleman's debate. As we have here, Andre the winner, and this is the song we should have all picked, but you know.
No, I'm booing that game.
Voodoo Child.
Maybe no Hulk Hogan at all. Maybe we just stop talking about that.
Yeah,
guy.
we can do without. You played Pomp and Circumstance.
Oh, that is great.
Audio clip of Piper that said, "Just when they have the answers, I change the question."
Ric Flair's would be good too, but that's pretty iconic for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I'll tell you about it later, Jason. Some guy did some stuff one time.
I think he's the guy that's like, "Whoo."
Yeah,
I think he's like, who?
He goes, who?
Oh no!
This is fun, guys.
Wool.
Yeah, this is good time. Great episode. This was tons of fun.
Really fun.
Sorry to Jaemeel. You know, he wasn't as.
Oh man.
But you know,
mad respect to Jaemeel.
But you know, this was a great battle, a lot of passion, creativity, and he brought in Mongo.
And won with Mongo.
If we have to pick an MVP though, it's got to be Jason for bringing or Jaemeel for bringing in Mongo. Like that's got to be like that's going to bring us joy for years to come. Mongo McMichael, wow,
and won with it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Michael. Terrific episode. Thanks to Jason. Glad to have you here. I got to meet you for the first time today, so this was excellent. Thanks to Chris Worldmind Murphy for being a fantastic host, having to make these tough calls all throughout the episode. Way to go. I'm just gonna move myself over here. So thanks for being with us. You should check out our other content here. We're part of a federation of podcasts called the United Federation of Podcasts that has several different channels that all focus on different things. Like we have Live Long in Podcast, a Star Trek themed channel doing Star Trek reviews and different debates and trivias all the time. Monday nights we talk about Star Trek Enterprise. Tuesdays Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We're currently covering Star Trek Picard every Thursday, and we'll be looking at Strange New Worlds this June. So check those things out. Plus different debates and fun segments that we do as well over there on the channel. And the locutors of Trek, of course, who is Davin and Dave Pugsley, who do the long format podcasts and get into the deep issues of Star Trek.
He said it right this time, Davin.
I don't know, whatever. And then the Star Trek Lower Decks. We just did the Star Trek Radio Theater version of this about a month ago, actually, with an edited version come out, adapting a Chris North comic book into an audio story. Check that out if you haven't already.
Ryan North comic book.
I call him Chris. Oh yeah,
yep.
Sorry, Ryan North.
Isn't Chris North the actor from Sex and the City?
That's Chris Noth. Chris Noth. That's Chris Noth. He's not North.
Oh, okay.
We also have
You're such a Samantha Dave.
We got the Graphics Histories podcast with André Myette. Andre, what do you got coming up on that?
Jameel's just been ghosting me, so I can't have him on my show apparently. But I tried to reach out to him. We talked about it before the show started. Working on a guest for this Friday. I generally do shows every 2 Fridays. We just have people related to comics or sci-fi or anything fantasy on the show, and I interviewed them very similar to most of those styles. We have a lot of fun. The most recent episode is relevant to this one because I dropped with Kurgan, Robert Myette, who, good guy I've known through wrestling. I had a great conversation with him about his wrestling career and also always work in film and television and where that's led him and where he is now in his life. It was really, really cool talking with Rob. I've been on tour with him a couple times. Just it was really neat to finally get a chance to really know his story and talk about it. So it's a great episode. Definitely check it out. And if you're a fan of like Guillermo del Toro and all that sort of stuff, you get some fun insight to that. Also a movie that I think everybody slept on, The Immortals. If you haven't seen it, it's a good movie.
There you go. And you're also on every Tuesday with Davin Skellhorn talking about X-Men, the animated series on the podcast X-Rated. You guys are in season 4, I believe now, or heading into
Yes,
5?
we are. Yep. Yeah. We just finished Proteus Part 2. And the next episode, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one that debuts Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Also, check out Davin, Francis, and Baker every Friday, where they talk about the Simpsons episodes. They're into season 2 right now. They just did Treehouse of Horror last night. Number 1, my son Eamon was on the show with them as well. Check out that podcast. We also have the Super Mater Brothers podcast, which is a TV focused podcast mostly, where we're talking about right now. We're covering Survivor season 44 every Wednesday, new episodes of that, as well as Big Brother Canada 11 every Tuesday and Thursday.
If the show lasts,
like we're in the cast.
Yeah, well, most of yeah, it looks like we're in the cast over there. Yeah, so some great stuff there. Plus the Mary Mater Marvel Society, which broadcasts on that channel as well, where we cover MCU projects like most recently Ant-Man the Wasp, Quantumania, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Ant-Man, ants. Ant-Man. There's also the Hellbound podcast every Wednesday. Alex Blackburn, Michael Chan talk about horror related events. It's an audio podcast as well. And
that's whose wrestling shirt I'm wearing.
Oh, there you go. Love Club. Is that a Michael Chan reference?
Yeah, Michael Chan appeared in the Love Club, the 4th movie of that series. So
there's 4 Love Club movies.
Yes, there's 4 Love Club movies. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad you're repping.
I've
had Mike on the show too, and that was a great talk as well. That was last episode.
But hold up. We've also got Hold Up, a movie podcast, every second Wednesday with Murphy and Davin talking about 3 movies in a theme, 2 from the pre-2000s, 1 post-2000s. Is this what you got coming up in the near future? Is this the next thing? No.
That's an excellent segue, by the way, Dave. But yeah, we got Hackers coming up from the 90s, The Net with Sandra Bullock, and Guns Akimbo. And I've been questioned on my choice of Guns Akimbo, but I was recommended by a dear friend, my friend Allison. She's like, "You got to watch this movie," and I was like, "What's the movie about?" She's like, "It's like in the story of themes. I'll put it in my podcast." She's like, "It's about the internet," and I was like, "Okay, I'll take your word for it." So I just blindly took her word for it.
If you guys, I told this to Davin, but if you guys like, I know TV's doesn't count, but one of the best I would say stories about the internet would be the Black Mirror episode Dance Monkey. That's one of my favorite episodes of that show and of television in general. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And before we go, Jason, why don't you tell us about what you got going on in your world?
Yeah.
Well, I every month I announce for Super Kicked Wrestling here in Toronto. We have a show coming up on April 21st. I am one of the 3 hosts of the movie podcast called Hey, Did You See This One?
Ooh.
And the theme of the show is we cover movies that you would be at a house party talking to somebody and you'd be like, hey, did you see this one? And then mention some nonsense.
I'm adding that right now to my listening list because that's right up my alley.
We usually do a themed month. We just finished up opening the Grimoire Familiar Killers, where we talked about the 4 bigger movie killers: Jason, Freddy, Chucky, and Michael Myers. Okay. Our most recent episode is Season of the Witch, which of course doesn't include Michael Myers, but that
great movie
is a banger. And even though John Carpenter is not, I used the word again, and even though John Carpenter is merely a producer, that is the most John Carpenter movie. That is the most John Carpenter movie I think I've ever seen. I
think if that movie wasn't called Halloween 3, if they just called it Season of the Witch, it would have been it's a cult classic now, but it hurt it because Michael Myers wasn't in it.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
He is technically in it. It's a Anyway, we talk about all that in our most recent episode. So thank you for your time today. It was nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for coming.
I know Murphy from literally a wrestling chat room on Facebook.
I was going to say maybe I can make it to Super Kick Wrestling someday, and I'll see you.
You absolutely should. It's cool. If you've never been, I
would love to anytime.
It's neat. Yeah.
Book this man in a match.
This man in a match.
Yeah.
If I had that ability, I've put your friends, your wrestling for friends in wrestling matches. That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, on that note, we are going to sign off for tonight. Today, I guess, not tonight.
Not quite tonight. It's 4:00 where I am. But,
it's nighttime somewhere, and we'll see you next
Wrestlemania,
time.
baby.
And we'll play out our old theme music to close the show.
Oh wow!
Oh, the old music.
See you next time, everyone.